Welcome to Bridging Civil Tension here, 21.6 The Net. A lot of tension out there that needs to be bridged, and a lot of it's not civil. Of course, Bridging Civil Tension is the show that addresses issues that some people are afraid to talk about because we feel it's better to build a bridge, meet halfway, discuss. If we don't like it, go our separate ways, but don't blow the bridge up. Bridging Civil Tension is brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Restoration One Water Fire Mold, 847-264-4664. Of course, I'm Kent Jones. The other guy just jumping on. He's on Dallas time. Phil Wallace, entrepreneur, author, just man of mystery. Absolutely one of the best guys out there.
How are you, brother?
I'm good. We're getting ready to bridge a little tension. Hey, welcome in. How's weather in Texas?
Was 80 degrees at the beginning of the week. It dropped to like 28 yesterday. It was an ice storm.
Yeah, we got about 3 or 4 inches of snow up here. Nice powdery snow.
Nice.
That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as nice powdery snow. Hey, how was your week? Good? Down there in Texas, visited family, huh?
Wonderful, man. My son's birthday is tomorrow. He'll be 7.
Yeah, 7 already. Man.
So he was filling us in on Godzilla, things that are happening in the DC universe, things like that. The essentials.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. How's your week?
Busy. Went fast. And of course, Friday's always fun here at the station because it's a busy day. So a lot of stuff going on out there in the world. A lot of tension. What are you thinking you want to bring up?
I mean, obviously prayers, right, for everything that's going on across the water. War is nothing to play about, man. Yeah. I know there's talks of the draft and everything like that, so definitely prayers for everyone who's affected, who has family over there. You don't wish that on anybody, man.
No, war is part of the world. It's what happens, and it's scary because of technology, and the way it could be fought, and it is what it is, and of course, I've got a lot of friends. Not a lot. I've got a handful of friends that have family over in the Ukraine. So very, I'm very. I guess thinking about them. Now, at the same side, I'm going to say this. I know I've got friends who know people very closely, spent some time living in Russia for a couple of years, and those people are just as scared. We're here's the issue. Oh, we're praying for all the people. Well, pray for the people in Russia as well. They're involved in this too,
right?
Right, and maybe a lot of them probably didn't want to get into it, right? I don't know. So it's ugly. So don't just pray for the Ukraine. Pray for the people.
That's a good perspective. Most people don't think about that or consider that, right? Like if something happened, I don't necessarily feel in favor of the decision to go to war. I don't want to do this.
Well, here's what I hear a lot, Phil. This last couple of days. Oh my God, he's such a bully. So things, it is what it is. We just left a place a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't know. Anyway, a little place called Afghanistan that America went in and did the exact same thing. What's happening right now? I'm laying it out there, and we hate Russia for doing it. We're being hypocritical. We literally just left the longest war we've ever been in.
Doing the same.
I'm just there's that tension, right?
Right.
Good morning, Jen. Glad to have you with us, sister. It is what it is. But here's my frustration: nobody ever wins a war. Whoever loses the least. And the hypocrisy only runs so deep. Right? How can we be all up in arms and just infuriated with what's happening?
I mean, but as a country, we do that on a lot of topics, right?
Yeah.
That it's justifiable over here, and then how dare they over there? That's kind of the trend. That's why we have a show.
Right.
So, I mean, when you have people who are, that's kind of the premise of what we're going through today, right? That we have, in some situations, turned our nose up at other countries for doing things that we don't notice. You know, that's our playbook.
Right.
That's what we do. You know, we can't get mad at someone else going to war over there if we're at war ourselves for the past X amount of years. Like, we don't look any better to them as they look to us right now.
Right. And it's, you know, this feud, this tension, isn't like I just came up and punched you in the nose. This tension in that area of the world has been going on for decades.
Right.
Decades. And that's, there's a lot of things that we don't know, right? I can't tell you why they feel this way or they invaded or whatever. I can tell you that we've got listeners who've got family over in the Ukraine that are very scared, but at the same time have left that area because it was. I mean, you know, one of our good listeners grew up over there. When it was under, you know, communist regime, and then even after the communist regime was over, it was still run very much the same way, right? Hey Ted, good morning. Lisa, good morning. And it's so hard for, you know, it's so hard to comprehend why the United States believes that we have to be the police of the world. And we have a hard time. We have a hard time policing our own backyard.
So, and this one wasn't me. This one was not me. I was told that, or in a conversation, someone said, do you think that it's because of the horrible stuff in our history, like the real stuff, not the watered down stuff, the actual things like our country knows that we've done, that they try so hard to have the Superman image to other countries, for other countries, so that what's remembered, like the history books, is that the U.S. saved them and they stepped up and were great here in this, and it helps them sleep at night for what happens in their backyard or has happened in their backyard. Was a conversation that I had with someone else that was not.
Right. You know, what's the old saying? All the world's a stage. We are merely players.
Right.
Yeah. You touted the American dream. You touted the come to America and win and be happy. And when I say that, our forefathers and whatnot, right? We wanted immigrants to come. We wanted to be the best, biggest, strongest, fastest growing nation ever, and we achieved that.
Right.
And so we marketed. Correct, I would say, right? We marketed the United States in a certain way, the land of the free, the home of the brave, and yet, you know, one of the bloodiest, if not the bloodiest war was amongst ourselves, you know, and we do cover that and we go over those things. But again, we celebrate, hey, look what we did, you know, and hey, we brought peace to the Middle East. Yeah, looks like that worked well. Right. So I think, yeah, I think there's a piece of that has to be, you know, what it is. Now again, we are the, you know, one of the strongest, if not the strongest, economy out there. We've got a huge population, right? So there's a lot of the world kind of teeters on the United States.
Right.
And so that's where we try to show, you know, flex. Oh, here's what we'll do, you know, and so I think that's important why we're there. But, you know, I think in today's world, you have to be very, very careful with the words that you say, with how volatile things are all over the world, not just in that area, right?
Right.
I think you have to be very, very careful about that.
So,
Hey, Shana, good morning. After coming to terms with the apparent capture of mainstream media outlets, are you concerned we might not be getting all sides of the drama? I can't help but think this might be diverting attention away from even more dubious activity. What aren't we focusing on? The unlawful seizure of personal assets may be scary. Yeah, right. Hey, don't look what the right hand's doing. Look over here at the left. So yeah, and I was talking about this earlier today and last night and that's why I say right here, 21.6 The Net, we don't do news, we don't do politics, we don't do the weather, right? Because as long as the internet is up and running, you can tune in here. But yeah, will there be information outlets that are silenced? Is the question with what's happening, right? And here's the American story, and Phil, jump in at any time. Is we got to have a hero and a villain.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's inside our house or outside of our house. We have to have a hero and a villain. When we got out of that war in Afghanistan, to us here in America, we were the hero.
Right.
Who is the villain?
Afghanistan.
Yeah, right. The Taliban or ISIS or whatever the case may be, right? There's somebody that we can't even put a face to, right? That was the good guy and the bad guy.
Right.
Right, well, how about in 2020 when our nation was in a bit of turmoil and cities were on fire? Who were the heroes? Who were the bad guys?
Gotta be one.
Gotta be one, right? So we always have that, which is interesting. I grew up, as many of our listeners did. Ted, you're about the same age as me. Lisa's a little bit younger than me, and Shana, you're probably right in there too. We grew up in the 80s, 70s, 80s Cold War era, right? And the bad guys were Russia. Why? Because of communism and because of their nuclear power, and because they don't have democracy as good as ours, then they're gonna kill us, right? So we grew up with Russia being the bad guy.
Right.
For just that's what we were taught. So I got a buddy who lived in Russia for 2 years, and he's like, these people are happy. This is a cool place. It's rich in history. It's beautiful. They're brilliant. They're thriving. But that's not what we heard.
Right. We heard it was all spies.
Yeah. All great people over there. All spies, right, So they were the bad guys. And then, 9/11 came and we got punched in the face. Oh, new bad guys.
Right. Same play.
And now again, we're back to a bad guy. So take a look throughout history. Is who's the good guy, who's the bad guy? And if you travel to different parts of this blue marble, Phil, then maybe the hero isn't the hero.
Right.
I don't know.
You always say that history is told by the victor, right? And it is. And
written by
the victor. And we look at wars from different perspectives. It might be the hero in this story and maybe the horrible country in the other story.
Oh.
And we paint the picture that we've always been on that hero side. And we don't ever really teach the option or the perspective of how do you think this country looked at us from this story that we've told. Maybe we've been the bad guys in a lot of situations, and that's on a global scale. That's not even what we do to our own nationally, like locally.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, yeah, we were the big heroes on this one. Take 5 minutes. Like, well, what if this was my situation? Would I feel the same way? I don't know if you would.
Right. and and when people are scared, when you're fearful of not knowing what's happening, and as Shannon said, yeah, always pick a side and trust us. I imagine there are a few more perspectives to be had. You're so right with the constant duality, and it's so boring. It is, right? I think we're starting to learn and see. I think people are starting to go, oh, wait a minute, wait, this isn't right. Something doesn't feel right. um and it's horrible. I mean, a gentleman that I know, his grandmother is still over in the Ukraine.
Yeah. We had a coworker. She fled a week and a half. She got out ago. Like, she got to a different country and she works remote, whatever. But like, she was there.
Now, there are things that are out there. There's reports that the Ukraine has overtaken some of the Russian troops, where the Russian troops have said, we didn't know that we were supposed to come in and kill people. Right, as they were taken over and captured. I guess I'd be like, oh shit, whoops. Right. And that's an interesting thing. But again, throughout the United States history, there's also a lot of oops, I didn't know that what
just following orders.
Yeah, just following orders. And so I believe that if you're smart, okay, in Hollywood, in filmmaking, and in novel writing, Phil, an author. There's a thing called foreshadowing, right? And foreshadowing is kind of setting up what's to come. Okay, so if you were to ask somebody very involved in political science, they would probably say, no, we knew exactly when and where and what time that this attack was going to happen. There's a lot of intelligence out there. But the foreshadowing that I'm seeing is, watch out for hackers, cyber attacks, right? And again,
yeah.
Try to see who they're making the bad guy. Okay.
Right.
And understand what our history has shown as the setup, and who's the bad guy and who's the good guy. When really, 5.5 months, let's go down and visit family. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
It makes it so hard to if you're asked to pick a side, to even do so, because you have the second guess. Is what percentage of this information is even real? Yeah. Is this even close to the legit story? Before I say this is a hero, this is bad guy, I don't even trust the source.
Yeah.
And that's horrible.
Is it though? I mean, is it, or are we finally starting to get it and go, wait just a minute?
Well, just from the aspect of, let's say that they fire us up to this one's the bully, this one's the victim. And now, because of that, what they're perpetuating is, now we're asked to go contribute. But I don't even know who really was the bully, or who is I don't know. But I'm told that if I don't go serve in that situation, then I'm wrong.
Right.
And I'm not behind my country wholeheartedly. That's a whole nother can of worms. Anyway.
No, it is. And and that's why I say, were we getting too comfortable in our own position, that now this fear, right? It's easier to rule by fear, or to control by fear.
Right.
When I was in an armed robbery at a bank, and had a pistol pointed point blank at me, I followed directions pretty quickly. Right. I was pretty scared. And when you're scared, you're gonna do, hey, whoop, let me get down. You bet. Here, can I hold the door for you, sir? Do you need a desk as well? I can load this in your car. So the interesting thing is, there's a lot of justice that's been happening, that is also kind of, not the headlines where it's just interesting timing. I think I don't believe that the world is doing that, but I mean, you take a look at the Aubrey case down there, and they got charged with hate crimes.
Right.
The three gentlemen, which they absolutely should have. So there's some justice there. I mean, you've lost your son, but at the same time, you're like, all right, well, good, right? The three police officers in the George Floyd case also found guilty. I don't know if it was hate crimes. I didn't get a chance to read it. I just heard it coming in that they were found guilty. I don't know if it's a murder or not, so I don't want to speak out of turn on that.
Right.
And then the police officer again in Minneapolis. I would stay out of Minneapolis if anybody who accidentally shot instead of tased. She was found guilty as well, but it was a weird sentence, I think, or something.
Right.
It only carries like 7 years or something like that.
So, is that the one where the judge cried?
I don't know. I didn't read it. So the biggest question not answered yet, and why we may never know, is the true motivation to start a war. I don't know. I'm not a war guy. I don't even like playing Risk. Right. Just boring.
Battleship just give me nightmares.
Right. But I don't. Again, I don't know why. There. Well, let's be honest. There's big money in a war.
There we go.
There's huge money in a war. Right. Ask the Johnsons, Lady Bird Johnson. It all depends on the pockets and infrastructure and things that you have in place, right. where you rest, because now there's going to be big money in rebuilding of Kiev. There's going to be big money. We got to get electricity things there.
Right.
Big money in wars. Yeah.
What's it? It's very profitable to supply the disease and the medicine.
Yeah.
Right. we can kick up chaos and then come up with solutions, and we get paid for both. That's the play.
Yeah. So Talk in Our House, Jen says, what makes you trust someone? Currently introducing what is NATO to my kiddo, 7th grade. Ukraine is not a part of NATO, which simply means mess with one member, you're messing with all of them. So our homeschool lesson is break down what prompts you to form an alliance and trust each other. Here in our own day and in our own day-to-day life, transparency, building trust with your neighbor. Current events offer an opportunity to each a bit of a model UN stuff for kids.
Sure.
Right. And well, yes. And now, so do we blindly trust the United States government? Right. Well, I'm a good American. I'm proud to be an American, but do we trust them? And you're going to have your strong supporters, absolutely, red, white, and blue. We absolutely love, trust the United States, and we will fight for our freedoms, absolutely.
Right.
And then there's some that are going, yeah, well, maybe not. There's some issues that I have with them, and I don't. Now what happens is I start yelling at Phil, how can you're not American? Yeah, right. And Phil's like, listen, the Constitution. And Phil's like, hey, yeah, that gives me the right to feel this way, right?
Right.
This way, freedom.
You would think.
So yeah. So is it transparency? Is it building trust with your neighbor? Trust isn't given; it's earned, right? So when you trust somebody, you earn. Like you earn my trust. I can't just give it to you.
Right.
And that's through relationship. That's through hard conversations. That's through laughing, crying, and time.
Right.
Right. You can be as transparent as you want, and I mean, you can sit here and go, "Here, I'm just going to lay this pistol. Let me just lay this pistol on the desk."
Okay, carrying heat. I see. All right.
and
just in case it pops off.
No, it's loaded. You can see that it's loaded. I'm just going to lay it here in between us while we talk. And understand, if there's, I would just be very transparent. If there's something I don't like, then I'm going to shoot you.
It was a sound effect for me.
Right.
I mean, looking at what has allowed people to form an alliance the past couple of years, right? From simple as like sports team to music, whatever, but my letter is the same as yours. You voted for the same guy I did. Your skin's the same. And even though I know nothing about your character, I know nothing about your morals. I know nothing about, what really drives you inside on the inside. Your letter's the same as mine. And it's us against those guys who are the villains.
Yeah. And I think now more than ever is the time where, we've got to get our Coca-Cola out and teach the world to sing. But we've got to start the song here in America. And what I mean by that is, we're in the Chicagoland area. 21/6 the Net, the mother studios in the Chicagoland area. And Chicago has the second highest Ukrainian population in the United States. I don't know who has the first. We have the second. But again, I know people who've got family over there, so I'm very, very concerned for how they feel. I don't know what they're going through. But at the same time, we know some Russian people as well. And again, just like 50% of this United States didn't want us to get into a war overseas. That country's the same way. Just because a president says, "Hey, it's time to go," right? And we fight for freedom. We fight for truth, justice. We created a war on terrorism. Well, we didn't even know what terrorism was. We put a picture of somebody on terrorism, right?
What did Cat Williams say? War on insurgents. It's like, I can't stand those insurgents. You didn't know that word existed 48 hours ago.
Right.
Now you hate them.
Right. So I think we all have to just take a deep breath, quit guessing at what's happening and why it's happening, and start taking a look at ourselves, our neighbors, and the people around us, and just start going, you know what, we got to unite. If we're the United States, we got to stop being like this and start being like this together. I don't care if you are Mexican American. I don't care if you're Italian American, Canadian American, African American. I don't care if you're redneck American. I don't care if you're hillbilly American, whatever, right? We all got to go, enough is enough. How are we going to take care of our own backyard, right? Yeah, I like that. Stay in your wheelhouse. I like that.
I met a super cool redneck down here on Monday. One of Pierre's friends, and he's a country boy from Tennessee, and we cracked up for half an hour. So when you said that, I was like, man, good old George.
Ain't nothing wrong with redneck.
Ain't nothing wrong with redneck. How do I say this? So, countries are afraid of the United States of America, right? And that the fear is the military of the United States. Do we look united? Have we looked united lately?
Well, to who, right? So again, I have never been out of the United States. I went to Canada once as a kid,
right?
But really never been out of the United States, especially as an adult. I don't know what news they're getting where, right? I don't know what they're seeing. Are they seeing the same story that's being told to us through our news outlets?
Right. I feel like the friends that do live abroad that I have reported, like, it looks like the butt of the joke to the other countries as far as like, you guys are falling for this stuff, or I can't believe how you guys, people are being treated in that country, blah blah blah. And the consensus,
the greatest place on earth.
Yeah, but it didn't, to them, it's like, well, why would we go there if you guys are fighting amongst yourselves, or people being treated like this. It didn't look like that happy-go-lucky, this is where your dreams can go to come true type of vibe. Right. So if I'm afraid of United and we look divided, we are opening the gates of people to try it.
Yeah, so
they're too busy fighting amongst themselves to fight us.
Well, and you see that a lot in families and things of that nature, and that there is some of that tension. And some of that tension is, man, we need to make our own bed before we go out and try to make somebody else's. And that's why people are starting to go, wait a minute, why does anybody bring up a draft right now? just like, okay, so two countries are at war. They've been. Do we get so riled up about Israel and Palestine? They've been at war for a long ass time, people. Since the Bible.
It's true.
That's the Old Testament, not even the New Testament. We get all bent out of shape because these two people, these two places are at war, or do we just go? But now we got the villain, right? We got the villain, the bad guy.
Do you feel like you said you guys were raised in an era where Russia kind of was the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like once you're told someone is the bad guy, when you see them doing bad things, it's easy to believe that story? Oh, it's them again. See, I knew. I thought they had changed, but they're right back to their old tricks. And it's easy to fall for that because you already have that planted that these are the bad guys.
And here's my, this is my opinion. So this is strictly opinion. There's no fact to this. There's no study behind this at all.
I would not. This is
just Kent Jones's opinion. What we're hearing a lot is cyber attack. Now we've got the villain. If a cyber attack happens, who do we blame right now? And who do we believe? Oh, the villain. Dun, dun, dun. They had to have done it. Really? Maybe not. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm just saying that there's a lot of foreshadowing that there is going to be some cyber attacking. So at some point I may go and try to use my debit card and it doesn't work. Oh, the whole system's down. Money can't move. Oh, that darn Russia. But what if it turns out that it's not Russia?
Right.
What if it turns out it's Ethiopia that does it? What if it turns out that it's good old United States of America that does that? I don't know. Again, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying we now have Johnny sweep the leg. We now have the bad guy. We have removed America as the bad guy. We got out of Afghanistan. We're out. There's no more. We are good, wholesome again. And now we have a new bad guy. Oh.
Unplay.
Yeah, I call it seed planting and acceptance. Very good. Yes, we're going to plant some seeds. Watch this go. Kent, I'm with you. I heard it when you opened where you were going with this. I'm just telling you. We're walking around with our eyes wide shut.
Right? So how you're saying it's a setup and there's people who are agreeing with it could possibly be a setup and, keep your eyes open and it could be our country that's going to do this against our own. But then we also talked about how if there was a situation where people are told to get in the war, you would be red, white, and blue. And let's say myself would be like, I don't know if I feel as passionate getting behind a country that blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't get how this makes sense, the first part, but that wouldn't. That we understand we shouldn't trust them because they would set us up, but how dare you not be all for supportive to them.
That's interesting. That's why I say it's very, very tongue-in-cheek, hypocritical. It feels good to wave that banner, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, Phil,
Right.
you're anti-American. Am I really? Maybe I just want to stay alive and enjoy my family.
Right. And not go to war if I don't know that this person's telling me the truth of why we're going to war. That's the only thing I'm saying. I do have to do this though, because you said it and you know me. So you said the news came out and you reached out to people from Ukraine and had families in the Ukraine, and you reached out to people who were in Russia just to see. And even back in the day, you're like, these people are enjoying it and happy. And, and this is life. And how many people did you get a chance to talk to from Russia?
Yeah, nobody from Russia.
But had family in Russia or had lived in Russia.
Yeah, friends and whatnot. Still have friends there today. Yeah.
Yeah.
One.
And what I love about this is that was enough for at least you to kind of be like, you know what? It may not be that bad over there. Based off people who experience it, this is what it is. How interesting that is for me to hear that on this show.
Yeah.
That you took the time to ask the people who it happens to. And despite what you were told, this person who it happens to told you, no, this is life. That one was enough to sway the belief. Yet we have people who will hear from hundreds, still have their doubts.
Yeah.
Right. I gotta get on this being Ukrainian thing, man.
Well, but it's true, and it depends on what flag you fly. Now, you turn the other cheek, right? If they hit the other cheek, then you go after them.
Square up,
So the interesting thing is, right? We were that bully. We were the terrorists. We went into foreign countries with our military, and we're there for years. We had total control of another country, right? Understand that, okay? So here as well, it's hard though for people to go, I don't know, I feel good, but I don't think this is cancer, but I feel good. It's just a freckle, right? And we tend to put things off and ignore things and go with what we perhaps feel comfortable knowing, right? Jessica says foundational principles of the country now it's being ran against everything we stand for would be my justification. Okay. Of why not joining and going. So she's on your side there, Phil, right? Saying that. Shana says Stuxnet documentary explained how we have the ability to store creepy computer viruses found or created and can redeploy them with a signature that points to whomever we want to be perceived as the quote unquote bad guy. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot that cyber stuff. That's weird. Jessica says, I stand for our principles, not personalities. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, right? But again, I think our principles as a nation are changing and have changed a bit. And it's hard for the hardcore people, here's what this nation was built on, and it's hard for people to go, I have bought into and lived into the American marketing land of the free, home of the brave, and yet because I've bought into that, it's like, this is a gorgeous house. His neighborhood is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it was built on a swamp, and your house will fall into the swamp. No,
it's gonna happen.
This is bliss. This is bliss. And then all of a sudden the house falls into the swamp because it was built on swamp. And you're like, hey, this isn't right. I'm gonna sue you now.
Right.
Nobody
does it.
So the idea is, a lot of us in America have said this is red, white, and blue, damn it, Eagles and everything. And there are and I take off my hat. I bow to the people who had enough guts to defend this country, to be in our armed forces. Listen, I'm a sissy. When it came time for that, I could have done it at a younger age. Guess what I did? No. Right. My son is part of the United States Navy right now. I look up to him for that backbone and simply just being a badass, right? And that's what our military is to me, because they do the things that I'm a pussy to do, right? So I'm just it's just the truth.
I'm with you.
Right. But at the same time, those same heroes now, folks, are back here with their brains scrambled from the shit that they saw in the wars that they've been in. Young kids, 20 years old, 30 years old. And we don't, hey, we turn our back to them now that they're here. If I bump into you, Phil, I say, "Oh, I see you're wearing a Marines. Thanks for your service." Okay, thanks. Meanwhile, Phil's got PTSD. He's got, his brain is scrambled.
Right.
And he's like, I wish you'd stop thanking me. Maybe just come over here and sit with me, learn what I know. Listen to what I've seen and been through. Now, let's talk about that for a second. If I'm sitting with a veteran, right, and I've got a dear friend, I mean, her husband still wakes up from 2 different tours, 4-year tours, and in the middle of the night screaming, just sweating night terrors because of what he's seen and been through.
Right.
And all I can say is, hey, thanks for your service. And instead, we push that to the backside, right? So follow my train of thought. With a veteran, I go, man, I really wish there was something I could do. Thank you for defending us. With my neighbor, who maybe had been thrown up against the car, I go, you probably deserved it. Still same PTSD.
I've had this conversation with so many people that, well, why does this person have PTSD? And just like you said, I'm very respectful of those who served, right? And I appreciate those who served. And the feedback is, well, to watch someone lose a life is enough to traumatize anyone. And I'm not saying that it isn't. But then at the same time, if you have people who grow up in the city or grow up in a neighborhood where that stuff happens and they have PTSD, you don't say that they have PTSD. You just call them angry Black people. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that it could be where it's justifiable or understood in one situation and then just dismiss it the other way, and just enough to just incarcerate an individual for the same thing we praise someone else for doing.
Yeah. So you have to kind of take a look at that and say, oh my God, listen, if I work in the banking industry, if I'm in the bank and somebody just laughs loud because I was held at gunpoint in a bank, I freeze for a second. That's that post-traumatic stress disorder that I have. And then I got to just gather myself and look to see, like, okay, it's just somebody having a good time or whatever the case may be, right? That happens when you have an incident. Last night, our good friend Derek Bear, Bear Facts on Guns, talked about him getting pulled over, right? And he's a concealed carry. And this is a guy who obeys, he's Derek's big guy, right?
He's a stud.
6'2", 6'3", he's a big cat. And he was very nervous when he got pulled over because he didn't know. Hey, he if you go back and listen to the show, he walked through everything, but you could see even when he was telling that story, he was very nervous because he had a gun in his console.
Right.
And that gun was touching his wallet. Right. And so, he was talking the guy through. You could see he was once Derek, from what it sounded like, the cop got a little nervous as well because he said, "Hey, I'm a concealed carry. The gun is in the center console. He's got his hands on 10 and 2, and it is touching my wallet. I'm letting you know that I'm registered, but you could sense that he too was very, very nervous. Now, it's interesting that here's this big guy, big white fella, but he was still scared. So if this happens to somebody who not part of that story that's been told millions of times across the nation, you think what it is.
Right.
So Shana wants to know: is it racist to assess or address a black man as angry? I'm assuming everyone gets angry. You're just an angry black guy.
I don't think it's racist to address a black man as an angry black man.
Or woman.
Well, the part is that people only address it as if only black men get angry, or that if I'm more predestined or predetermined to get angrier quicker than Kent or Derek, right? Like we don't watch people in Starbucks get upset about their orders being wrong, or Home Depot in McHenry or Wonder Lake. They get their orders or something gets messed up and they go irate, and that's fine. They were frustrated.
Yeah.
But if I do anything that raises the tone of my voice, it's like, whoa, we got to get so angry about it.
Settle down, fella.
Jeez, I was just trying to see my son. Like,
right.
Everyone. It's not just black people. It's not black women. It's not black men. So that's the part where it gets frustrating. That if a person that's a minority raises their voice at all or responds like any other American would, it's looked at as the angry black man or angry black woman versus everyone has a temper.
Well, yeah, but not necessarily to everybody, right? So if I'm there in that instance, I go, oh, he has a right to be pissed. However, if I walked up on it 30 seconds to a minute after you got pissed and I don't know the situation and they gave you a hot dog and you ordered a brat and your trigger is brat, or something. I don't know, right? And we all have triggers that set us off. But if I, again, I've got my little 6-year-old niece with me or something, and I'm like, oh, don't just look away. It's just an angry black man, right?
Yeah, right.
Now that's racist.
Avert your eyes.
Yeah. Now that's a little bit racist, right?
Okay, taking it to sports just because we're coaches, right? We had one kid who went to Huntley, Hispanic cat, now is a point guard at Western Illinois, right? When he played in the game, JJ, when he played, and he did this one time, like, man, he threw a great pass, went through his teammate's hands, did this. I was told that he needed to work on his temper. That same game, he took a kid out of the game and the kid kicked the chair when he went to the bench. That's the energy that we need on this team. What? What? Like, okay, if I ask why someone wouldn't cover something at the office, then I'm angry and I made someone feel unsafe. But if this white lady who cussed at me on the sales floor for 5 minutes, so much so that the 100 other employees were like, hey, if you want us to testify about this to your manager, we would. No, we need to keep division. So I would have been angry for asking why we didn't cover. This person is allowed to cuss on a professional sales floor. 5 minutes. She just got emotional.
Yeah. Just right. Jessica says, really it comes down to, with everything we're talking about, people's minds are typically made up, and you see what confirms what you quote unquote know. I think we can fully verify this is true based on the division we've seen in our country these couple past years. And also, what your show's about. People see what they want unless they are intentional about seeking to understand. And without enough pain, that's hard. That's a hard one for most. Are we really listening open-mindedly, or are we constantly looking for, I'm going to guess that says validation. Right. So there's some good pieces there, right? And yes, and we've talked about that, right? We've talked about, hey, I grew up on the Mississippi, and I've got my African friend over here who grew up on the Nile, and I'm like, hey, let's go swimming. They're like, get the hell out the water. You don't go in one of those things,
right?
You know, and I'm like, what? No, come on, it's great. You just got to stay away from the dam, which got the real big, catfish. But don't worry, this will be good, right? Dodge around, right? And we look at them like, why won't you get in the water? Well, because their river, they got creatures that will eat you.
Lots of them, yeah.
Right? They're like, you are nuts, right? So again, it goes back to, yes, our experiences and what we believe we see. So yeah, the hard thing is we don't seek to understand first.
Right.
I look at Phil being angry, going, well, he's an idiot. All the guy's got to be is nice, you know. I don't know. I don't know what he's been through. I don't know why brats trigger people, but right,
brats. I wanted cheddar in mine.
Right, and she says, and the question is going to, do you think, or have you experienced people assuming you will be angry?
Yeah, lots of times.
Not a lot. Oh, they're talking to you probably.
Yeah, come on. I fit the description on this one, buddy.
That's right.
Lots of times, and that's where it's so weird. And because we laugh and we joke and we're well mannered and this and that. And I've had, just because I yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, everybody. I just didn't expect for you to be so well spoken or well mannered. I just something did. Why? And you legit have to take what would be just a verbal slap in the face and smile. Otherwise, you're doing it again. No, you just said some rude stuff to this individual. You thought that there would be no emotional consequence to you just saying horrible stuff that you would say to no other race or no one that you actually liked, that you have to take with a smile. Did people just do all sorts of stuff to put you on blast or make an example? Let me touch your hair and this and the token and whatever in the high school. But if you respond in that high school, ask any high school. They do not suspend the kid who called the N-word. They suspend the kid who punches back.
That's right. Now, Ted says, why refer to anyone as an angry person with race being brought in the statement? They are an angry person, period. Well, but that's not the way it's been in the United States. It's not the way. I can't speak for any other country. It's just not the way it's been here, right? It's we do like that segregation as a country.
I don't know why we like it so much. Why are we so attracted to that?
I don't know either, but we do. And growing up as a kid, and Ted, you'll remember this. Shana, you'll remember this. Lisa, we had in school, you had the smart kids in their class, they were talented and gifted, and then you had the normal average kids, and they were in their kind of own class, and then you had the not so smart ones, challenged perhaps, and they were in a whole different one. And there were times in the 70s in elementary school where that segregation was even, well, you're kind of this average guy, but you're pretty good at math. So in math, we're going to send you up here to this class for this, so you can do math with this, but you really have a hard time reading. So you're going to stay back here, out here and it was, and we segregated everything. Right. And there are schools in the South that we're like, well, we understand that you're brilliant. However, you're black. So you're going to go to this school over here. Right?
It's true.
And there's towns here in Illinois today. Rockford we'll use. Rockford's got what, 3-4 high schools in that area?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to bus kids from all over to try to keep keep the same level amount. You know what I'm saying? To diverse, to keep the diversity. Otherwise, you may go to
Boylan, Jefferson. Hononegah, any of those. Yeah.
Right. You go to the west side, you go to Rockford West, and right, yeah. So they actually bus people all over that city. Is that a good thing?
Right.
Sure. I don't know. I don't live out there, but we're still trying. Otherwise, that segregation would be that way. Right? Mm-hmm. So it still happens, today. Men in general are expected to keep an even keel. Why is that? Leader quality. Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch the grounds with some of those old advertisements, you'll see that people who should also be very upset with our history as women, because we of any color, because we treated women pretty poorly for a long time. I would use the superpower to mess with people. I'm working on it. That's it. Absolutely. Jessica says psychological abuse, gaslighting does that too. Poke until you are the crazy one. It's not just race. Yeah. Maybe it's a condition of human nature to always try and put everybody in everything in a specific box. I think that makes us feel comfortable. We as human beings are usually threatened by things we don't understand. Okay. When did race come about, and at what point did race come about? Do we know? Yes, we do. It happened in the late 1700s, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he created race to sell slaves, and that is exactly how it even came around. Up till that point, there wasn't. It was you're a Romanian, or you're an American. You're from India, so you're Indian, you're Asian, whatever the case may be. There was no race. It was where you were from.
Right.
And then race was created for human trafficking, for human slavery, and that's bad. That's bad. Right? But now has and this may be, because we're on the back 3 minutes, but this may be our next show. Have we replaced race with colorism? Instead of racism, now we have colorism. In other words, you're orange, so you're different. I'll make fun of you because you're orange, or you won't have this or that. And I don't look at the race because now the world has become a pretty good melting pot, and people, but now do I look and go, oh, he's black?
Yeah. I think there's an aspect of it, but like I feel like if me and Trey, who's Zoe's son, and Pierre did something, they wouldn't say it was 2 light-skinned dudes and a darker skinned fellow. They would say it's 3 black guys outside of McKinney.
Yeah. And so that's why I say is how do we, have we replaced racism with colorism and just go, oh, you're one of those. Oh,
doesn't matter which one, you're just different.
Right. And Ted says, and I know we got to get bouncing. The easiest way to create peace is to accept people's differences and celebrate our similarities. Absolutely. To buy a world of Coke and sing in perfect harmony. An authentic conversation can prevent 1,000 imagined issues. Thanks for making the effort, guys. Have a great week. Yeah, you're right. And that's what Bridging Civil Tension's all about. That's why we do it, is we want to open those conversations, because that's how you heal. That's how you learn. That's how I go, you're brilliant. You're brilliant. And that's what I want to know. And that's how we play this game. So, hey, we are on the backside of this. Wow, that went fast. A lot of stuff going on, folks. What I would ask is that you, holy cow, that's loud. What I would ask is that you pray for everybody who's involved in this conflict on both sides, because there are innocent people on both sides, and pray that it comes to an end, and a lot more people don't get hurt. And remember, seek first to understand rather than to be understood, and don't be afraid to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, because when you're on the bridge, it could be a long bridge that you're walking on.
Just keep in mind, man, with everything that's going on with the war, if you're in the foxhole with someone, color don't matter, letters don't matter, all that stuff would be out the window. You'd be my brother in arms, and it's, us against the world. So we got to have that dialogue, have open dialogue and love with people who don't look like you to find that understanding to prevent a war in our country, whether that's emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever, not going like it is worldwide. So.
And of course, if you ask me, you better start paying attention to the man behind the screen. For us here, 21.6 Net, we'll see you at 1 o'clock for the Neighborhood Pulse, followed at 3 in the know with Steph and Joe. And of course, tonight at 8, brand new episode of the Dream Home Experts. Big announcement that they're going to have. Tune into that. They're coming live from the Quiet Cool Studios. For all of us here at 21.6 Net, thanks for getting caught in the net with us. Be good and be good to each other.
Love you guys.